So Daniel was brought before the king. And the king said to him, this is all probably happening in the same night, by the way. This is all, just like the first dream in Nebuchadnezzar in chapter 2, seemed to be taking place all on the same night. This is all happening on the same night. Are you Daniel, one of the exiles my father the king brought from Judah? I have heard that the spirit of the gods is in you, and that you have insight, intelligence, and outstanding wisdom. The wise, probably while they were out fetching Daniel, more people were telling him about Daniel and his reputation, probably. I don't know if he himself knew Daniel. Maybe in the past when Nebuchadnezzar was still alive and Belshazzar was a young man or a child, maybe he and Daniel had some interaction back then. It seems like even if they knew each other back in the day, Belshazzar had forgotten Daniel now. But I'm assuming that while they were out getting Daniel, there were other people there telling Belshazzar about him before Daniel came in to see him. The wise men and enchanters were brought before me to read this writing and tell me what it means, but they could not explain it. Now I have heard that you were able to give interpretations and to solve difficult problems. If you can read this writing and tell me what it means, you'll be clothed in purple and have a gold chain placed around your neck, and you'll be made the third highest ruler in the kingdom. He was offering the same reward to Daniel that he had offered anybody else earlier. Then Daniel answered the king, you may keep your gifts for yourself and give your reward to someone else. Nevertheless, I will read the writing for the king and tell him what it means. Now Daniel would know that the kingdom of Babylon is about to fall. He's going to read it about here. He's going to read this writing, which is about that here. And he's already had two visions himself, in addition to the one he interpreted for Nebuchadnezzar, that tells him the same thing. So Daniel does not place any value in being made the third ruler of a kingdom that's going to be brought to an end in a few hours. O king, the Most High God gave your father Nebuchadnezzar sovereignty and greatness and glory and splendor. Because of the high position he gave him, all the peoples and nations and men of every language dreaded and feared him. Those the king wanted to put to death, he put to death. Those he wanted to spare, he spared. Those he wanted to promote, he promoted. And those he wanted to humble, he humbled. But when his heart became arrogant and hardened with pride, he was deposed from his royal throne and stripped of his glory. He was driven away from people and given the mind of an animal. He lived with the wild donkeys and ate grass like cattle, and his body was driven to the dew of heaven until he acknowledged that the Most High God is sovereign over the kingdom of men and sets over them anyone he wishes. But you, his son, or descendant, or successor, O Belshazzar, have not humbled yourself, though you knew all this. So he was old. I don't know how old Belshazzar is exactly, but he was old enough to be aware of Nebuchadnezzar's humbling at the ending stages of Nebuchadnezzar's life. Instead, you have set yourself up against the Lord of heaven. You had the goblets in his temple brought to you, and you and your wives, your nobles, your wives and your concubines, drink wine from them. You praise the gods of silver and gold, of bronze, iron, wood, and stone, which cannot see or hear or understand. But you did not honor the God who holds in his hand your life and all your ways. Therefore, he sent the hand that wrote the inscription. I'd be more afraid now if I were Belshazzar. If I were afraid before, I'd be afraid even more now. Belshazzar honestly probably knew he had crossed the line. My guess is that, just like in Daniel 4 with Nebuchadnezzar's dream of the tree, Nebuchadnezzar probably knew that he was the tree in the dream. And that's probably what made him afraid. Belshazzar probably knows that he crossed the line, and that's why the hand has been... He probably knows that. He probably instinctively realizes that I'm going to be punished for what I just did. My guess is that he knows that. He may not say that out loud, but my guess is that he knows that. This is the inscription that was written. Mene, Mene, Tekel, Parsin. There was a footnote down here saying in Aramaic that is uparsin, or parson. Mene can mean numbered, or mina, a unit of... Okay, well, actually, let's just read this. This is what these words mean. Mene. God has numbered the days of your reign and brought it to an end. And I have a footnote down here saying mene can mean numbered, or mina, a unit of money. Tekel. You have been weighed on the scales and found wanting. Tekel can mean weighed or shekel. Paris. Your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Paris, the singular of parson, can mean divided, or Persia, or a half mina, or a half shekel. So these words all have a double meaning. They have a meaning as a noun and a meaning as a verb. As a noun, they refer to a unit of money, and as a verb, they mean weighed or scaled, weighed or divided or numbered, weighed, and divided. As nouns, they mean a unit of money and a weight and a person. As verbs, they mean numbered, weighed, and divided. So they all have a double meaning. In Persia, that last one even has a triple meaning. It means either divided as a verb, or a half mina or a half shekel as a common noun, or Persia as a proper noun. So they all have at least two meanings, and the last word has three meanings. So God has numbered the days of your reign and brought it to an end. You have been weighed in the scales and found wanting, and your kingdom is divided and given to the Persians. So his reign is over. Granted, not only his days, his hours are numbered now. He has been weighed and found wanting. So the kingdom he has been placed on scales. Apparently, on the other side of the scale is the kingdom he's been put over. And he does not measure up to that kingdom. He does not measure up to the legacy of Nebuchadnezzar. He does not measure up to the kingdom that God has put him over. So he has been found wanting. So because of that, his days are numbered, and his kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Then at Belshazzar's command, Daniel was clothed in purple, a gold chain was placed around his neck, and he was proclaimed the third highest ruler in the kingdom. So Belshazzar did what he said he would do for Daniel. He probably had to, because he had 1,000 witnesses to his proclamation. So even if Daniel gave him bad news, he pretty much had to do what he said he was going to do. But he did do it, whether he had to or however, he did do it. But that very night, Belshazzar, king of the Babylonians, was slain. And Darius the Mede took over the kingdom at the age of 62. I don't know if that word is how that translation is supposed to go. I don't know if Darius the Mede took over the kingdom that very night. In fact, I don't think he did. But I do know that very night Belshazzar was slain. It doesn't say how he was slain or who slew him. From historical sources, we know that the city of Babylon fell without a battle. So there was not a lot of bloodshed. There was not a fight in the city when the Persians arrived. Belshazzar was slain. Whether he was slain by the Persians or possibly slain by his own people who were mad at him for losing the city, I don't know. This doesn't say, and as far as I can tell, we don't have any other records that describe that either. But Belshazzar was slain. However, the city fell without a fight. There was not a massive battle in the city of Babylon, and the transition was actually pretty peaceful, except for the fact that Belshazzar was slain. Basically what happened is that while they were having, literally, as this was going on, Daniel gives us the account of what was happening in the palace, in the banquet hall itself, as the city was about to fall. And one of the things that makes this story so fascinating to me is that while this is happening, while this party is going on, the Persian army is already entering the city. These people just don't know it. They don't find out until it's too late. Okay, so like I said, Babylon was considered to be impregnable. You couldn't conquer it. You couldn't get past its walls. You couldn't get through them. You couldn't get over them. But you could get under them. The city, the Euphrates River ran through the city of Babylon. And somehow or another, and I have to admit, I don't really understand how. I'm not a water guy, so this sort of thing is hard for me to grasp. But apparently, somehow or another, Cyrus, the general of the armies of Persia, had the bright idea to divert the waters of the Euphrates rivers away by digging these canals to lead the water away from the city itself and that would lower the water level of the river that ran through the city enough so that his soldiers could then literally walk through the riverbed into the city, through the riverbed, which had been dried up enough to make it passable to walk through them. I don't know if they dried up completely or if they just lowered the water level enough that they could wade through it. I'm not sure exactly. It seems like that'd be a lot to do in one night. I don't know how they were taken by surprise. Like the Babylonian nobles didn't know this had happened. That when the Persians entered the city, they took the outer extremities of it first. But all the nobles were having a feast, if you read about in Daniel here, in the inner city part. So they didn't know about it. So the Persians were taking over the outer parts of the city and working their way to the middle as this party was going on. And it was precisely because Belshazzar had all of his nobles in one place in the inner parts of the city, and they didn't know about what was going on, that they were able to be conquered so easily. So that is how Cyrus took the city. Cyrus himself did not enter the city at this time. I'm not even sure if he was there. He fought Nabonidus, the actual king of Babylon, in a battle just before this, and he didn't get to the Babylon itself for about a month. So we'll read about that. So there was someone else who got the kingdom instead, this Darius person. You'll notice the text said he received the kingdom, not that he took it. Somehow or another it was given to him. And we'll talk. I wanted to get through chapter 6, but there is so much to talk about in the book of Daniel that once again I've gone as far as I can go for the day. So Daniel 6 will have to wait till a later day because I just can't. I'm done. I'm tapped out for the day. I can't do any more today. So we'll get to Daniel 6. We'll get to the arrival of the Persians and the takeover of the kingdom by the Persians, and this figure Darius the Mede, who governs the city, province of Babylon, and his actions and all that. We'll get to that next time because I can't do any more today.